Okay, today's daf is Yoma daf Yud Zayin, Yoma 17. The Gemara on Yud Zayin Amud Beis, in the middle of the Amud, the Gemara says, Tan Rabbanan Ketzad Makriv Chelek Barosh. The Mishnah it says, a couple daf earlier, that Shar Kol Yomim, the Kohen Gadol, is Makriv Chelek Barosh, and he's Notel Chelek Barosh. Seemingly it means that he could be makir whatever he wants, and he could take the first portion. So what does he do? Omer ola zu ani makir, mincha zu ani makir. Ketzan otel chelek barosh. Omer chata zu ani ochel, asham ze ani ochel. That's interesting. Why is he? It seems that otel chelek barosh means that he takes the first portion. It seems from the words of the Gemara, chata zu ani ochel, asham zini ochel, that he's eating the entire thing. He's not giving it to anybody else. That's one question. The Gemara, the Brisa continues. V'notel chala mishtei chalos. And on Shavuos, when you bring two chalos, he takes one of them. Arba o chamish ma'isa lechem apanim. 4 or 5 from the lechem apanim, which had 12 lechem apanim, you take 4 or 5. Rabbi Omer la'olam chamish. He says he'll always take 5. Shneimar v'aisa la'aron l'banov, mechsa la'aron, mechsa l'banov. Half for him and half for his children, half for the other kohanim. Now it's interesting that lechem apanim, Rashi alludes to this also. The lechem apanim really had 12 bread, so if he's taking half, he should be taking 6, not 5. One opinion is 4 or 5, and Rabbi says 5, and he brings a pasuk, mechsa la'aron and mechsa l'banov. That's the second question. In the Gra, when the Brisa says Rabbi Omer la'olam chamesh, he says maybe you should take this word la'olam out, because the end of the Gemara, in Yechem and Aleph, the Gemara has 2 ways of understanding this Brisa. Abaye brings one way, and Rava on Yechem and Aleph brings a second way. We pass like Rava. So Mastama, we understand the Brisa the second way. And Rava says on Yechem and Aleph, about 6 lines down, Rava Amar Kula Rabbi He, V'Saralak Rabbi Yehuda. So he says this whole Brisa is Rebbe, not like the Rabbanan. And the Gemara asks so really he takes half. So that you understand, 1 out of 2, that's half. Arba chamish ma'isa lechem upon him, 4 or 5. So that the Gemara says the way to understand that 4 or 5 depends if a mishmar is staying too long or coming too early. They're staying an extra day or coming a day early, where really they don't have the right to get part of the lechem upon them. But we still give them anyway. Since they're there, we give them 2 of the 10 of the 12 lechem upon them. So if you give them 2, there's only 10 is left. So then you have 2 other mishmaros. So like we're going to see that the Kohen Gadol can't get exactly half. He can only get, so 2 of them go to other mishmaros, and he could take 4 out of 8. And if there's no mishmar b'sakev that comes early or stays late, then there's 10 left, and he takes 5 out of 10. So the Gemara says, the Gemara asks at the end of the Gemara, my Rebbe Omer la'olam chamesh. The Gemara says kasha. What's the next line in our Brisa? Rebbe says la'olam chamesh is what the Gra alludes to. He says always 5. So why do you think sometimes 4, sometimes 5? Make up your mind. Either it's 4 or 5, or it's always 5. In order to answer all these questions, I want to understand the Brisa like we said earlier, that the Mishnah, when it says Shar Kol Yom, is not talking about the rest of the year. That would have said Shar Kol Hashanah. Shar Kol Yom, it means we're talking about the 7 days leading up to Yom Kippur. And there, the Kohen Gadol is the only one on Yom Kippur who does the avodas. Therefore, that's why it says in the Brisa, you can answer the first question, Chata Zuni Ochel, Asham Zuni Ochel, it seems like, even though we say Notel Chelek Barosh, it's Lav Davka Chelek Barosh. It means that he gets to eat the entire Chatas, the entire Asham, because he is the only one that's kosher for the avodah on Yom Kippur. Now, in order to understand the other 2 questions, we really have to understand basically the maskan of the Gemara, and to answer the Gra's question. That do we take out the word la'olam or do we not take out the word la'olam? I want to suggest that we don't take out the word la'olam, and really that would answer the Gemara's question at the end, because really there's two parts to the brisa. The brisa says, Arba chamish u'maisa lechem panim. Rabbi Omer la'olam chamish. Shneimar Aisal Aaron Labanav Mechsel Aaron Mechsel Labanav. See, Rebbe is talking about two different time periods. During the time period before, la'olam, I want to say, refers to olam haba, the future, la'asid lavo. In la'asid lavo, that says v'haisa la'aron labanav. The word v'haisa, it will be. It's in the future. It's connoting the future. It also applies to the past. But mechsel aron mechsel labanav, that's la'olam. La'olam comes to allude to the future. And the first part of the middle of the brisa, where it says arba chamish, and the Gemara already answered, that's depending whether there's a mishmar misakev, a mishmar that's not misakev, a mishmar that comes early. They're doing the wrong thing. The mishmar, they're staying too late, or they're coming too early. So there's a pasuk that says when you give gedula to kohanim. It says in Emor, it says Perek Chav Aleph pasuk Chet v'kidashto ki aslechem lokechu makriv kadosh yalak kadosh ni Hashem v'kadishkam, that you give special kedusha to a kohen. V'kidashto, Rashi says over there, shal bal korcho, if he wants to marry a woman who's usher to him, you have to beat him up, and you have to give him malchus and make sure he's megarish him, megarish the wife. And then it says kodesh yalach no bo kedusha liftach rishon b'chol davar levarach rishon b'suda, that he gets special kedusha, that you have to give him kavod and let him take the first portion, or to bench, or to speak first. So you see, even though he's doing the wrong thing, it's talking about olam hazeh, he's doing the wrong thing, he's still noig bo kedusha. And therefore, the mitzvah, the middle of this brisa, is talking about Bizman Hazeh. And that's what the pasuk says, Kadosh Yihiyelach. He should be Kadosh for you. It's talking about the past. It's talking about Bizman Hazeh. Therefore, even though they're doing the wrong thing, they're coming too early, they're leaving too late, they still get two breads. And they still get two breads. Because you have to, they're no telchelik barosh. One of the halachas of a kohen is that they get to take the first dibs, and they get at least a portion of it. The olam haba, so they're not going to get anything. They're not going to get anything, and they'll remain with 5 for the Kohen Gadol and 5 for the other kohanim. Now, why is it 5 for each and not 6? So to answer that question, we'd say that you're right. We have a pasuk that says Aaron and his children split in half. Half to the Kohen Gadol, half to the Shar Kohanim, but there's still the Kidashto, Kadosh Yalach, that he still he's no tel chelik barosh. So therefore, when you have 12 breads and you have one mishmar going in, one mishmar going out, you can't. If he wants, he could take possibly 6 breads. If he takes all 6 breads, then you're mavatel the fact that he has Kadosh Yalach, that he'd take a portion barosh. So you have to give at least one of the breads to the Kohanim that are going in or out, and therefore he could take 5.